Yo, I don't. Just right before we went live, Nick told me that I had to take a break from trade negotiations.
You were about to be distracted from the job at hand.
I mean, I guess you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm looking out for everybody here. Welcome to Face Bash Fantasy, everybody.
What's going on, y'all?
The draft, the dust on the draft has officially settled.
Has it? I don't even know if it has yet, bro.
Well,
that was a wild draft. That was a wild draft.
Most first-round trades in NFL history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Several young players traded during the draft. A.J. Brown, Hollywood Brown. Lots of surprising landing spots. Right?
I mean, we've said it in live streams. I remember saying it in live streams earlier in the offseason that, and this happened last year. You can fall in love with the player, and then he goes to a bad landing spot, and you have to completely reevaluate what you thought on him.
Mm-hmm.
With these non-elite players, if these non-elite guys went to weird landing spots, you have to either drop them down or just completely reevaluate where they are. And that happened again in this year's draft. My rankings pre-draft look a whole lot different than my rankings post-draft, especially after a certain point.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big one, obviously, for Superflex leagues was the free fall of Malik Willis. I think a lot of people had him locked in or assumed locked in as a top 3 pick in rookie drafts. Now, it's like, oh, I could get him at the end of the second round. So
yeah, and I think that's insane
totally
value.
Different narrative.
I think that's insane value if you can get him at the end of the second round.
Which we just saw him go in a rookie draft that we're actually participating in right now. The same rookie draft where John's trade negotiations were so sadly halted so that he could be
they're
here
probably
today.
Still gonna continue in the middle of the stream. I'm sorry if you see me looking down at my screen and clearly not paying attention to what's going on up here. Yeah, I'm just, I'm reevaluating. You know what
He's trying to figure out how to pick up a third-round pick in 2024. What's going on, The Objective?
You know what I like to do.
You're just collecting assets.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, just to get back to what you had already brought up, my rankings flipped entirely. I mean, not that this is like any earth-shattering news or update, but in one quarterback, I don't have a quarterback. Like, I wouldn't take a quarterback in the first 2 rounds.
I would take a quarterback in the back end of the second round. Sure.
You would take Kenny Pickett.
As soon as it hit 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, I would take one of Desmond Ridder or Malik Willis. I really would.
In a one quarterback.
Oh, in a one quarterback. See, this is what I'm talking about. The whole. I'm still thinking this trade.
You're locked in on this specific situation. Crap.
But,
I'm gonna lose value in this trade for us. We co-own this team. But anyway, no, I'm talking about
one quarterback. No, you gotta. They're right at the turn. If you're at the 3, 3-1, 3-2, I think about it.
Then sure.
Yeah, sure. And that would be Kenny Pickett. And then there's a drop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. In Superflex, I do have Pickett as a first round pick.
What's going on, The Objective? How you doing, man?
Ridder, Willis, Corral, I do all have in Superflex ranked as second round picks. We just saw Corral fall to the top of the third round. I think that's decent value, not as good as Willis in a scenario where he falls to the bottom of the second. But yeah, that's the biggest mover by far in Superflex formats. The quarterbacks plummeted, except for Pickett.
Yeah, the quarterbacks plummeted, and then we had the repercussions from the 2 wide receiver trades, which, I mean,
Big
those are
fallout
huge
there.
value swaps, because I think A.J. Brown drops a lot in my rankings for next year, and I think Hollywood Brown obviously zooms up rankings because of what happened with DeAndre Hopkins, but just by nature of being in a more pass-happy offense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, what do you think about both of those players?
So as an Eagles fan, I was initially like, you saw my face. I think it was like you were in the middle of a thought, and I got the update on my phone, and it was just like, oh my God. So, from a fan perspective, I'm excited. A.J. Brown is one of the good young receivers of the NFL, upper echelon receivers in the NFL at a young age. Excited to add a player of his caliber for what amounts to be Treylon Burks. Today, in May of 2022, you're excited about A.J. Brown. That's the glass half full. And we've seen him be a wide receiver 1 on some insane efficiency in the past. He's 6'1". He's built like he's bigger than that. Big, strong, fast. You get the whole idea. Exciting ad. Interesting ad, though, in this Eagles offense. I do think they're going to try to throw the ball more. You have to. One, because
I mean, they need to see what they have in Jalen Hurts from an arm talent perspective.
Right.
So they're going to make him throw the ball.
Last year, maybe they protected him a little bit. Right. Maybe they protected him a little bit last year with limited weapons, very limited experience at the NFL level. Now it's like, okay, we got you the weapon. You got the year under your belt. Now let's see what you can do. So they will throw the ball more. That's good for A.J. Brown. What the question will be is how effectively will the Eagles throw the ball? And the jury's out on that.
That's an issue for A.J. Brown, I believe, because
it absolutely
Ryan Tannehill, it might not be a pass-happy offense over there in Tennessee, but Ryan Tannehill is an accurate quarterback.
Insane efficiency and accuracy, yeah.
He was a QB7 and QB8 for 2 years before last season, based on his insane efficiency. He was still on a 1-1 team as a pass-first quarterback, passing quarterback, pocket passer, really. But he still found a way to be a fantasy asset because of his insane efficiency. Jalen Hurts doesn't have that efficiency.
No.
Same offense, pretty much. Run-first offense, going basically to the same offense, should get around the same amount of targets. And if we remember last season, A.J. Brown was a ghost for some games. He had boom games and then was completely absent from the game plan almost when he didn't score or didn't get the requisite targets.
Right.
He's not moving to a situation where he's going to get more consistency. He's going to see less consistency and less chance for boom weeks because on the other side there's Devonta Smith. And he didn't even have to worry about that last year because Julio Jones was a shell of himself. And before that, Corey Davis wasn't some all-star, all-pro running mate.
He was a wide receiver 3, but Devontae Smith is better.
This is the most target competition I believe he will have ever had in a wide receiver across from him. And Dallas Goedert is there. And Kenny Gainwell is a solid part of this offense as a passing down back. And Miles Sanders is too. I'm a little bit worried. I'm more than a little bit worried about A.J. Brown.
And on dropbacks, Jalen Hurts is much more likely to run than Ryan Tannehill on any given dropback. So I
think A.J. Brown might resemble more A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown might resemble DJ Moore.
Oh God.
I think as a guy like we know you have the talent.
Top 10.
We know you have the talent, but because of certain things regarding your offense, certain ways your offense runs, and the strength of your quarterback and the strength of the other pass catchers in the offense, you're going to be more of a wide receiver 2 than a wide receiver 1 weekly. I am scared about A.J. Brown.
How far has he tumbled in your dynasty? And I mean, maybe not redraft.
It really hits my redraft rankings because in dynasty, I do believe that either Jalen Hurts will have a better arm than I think he has right now, or they'll have invested in a quarterback that has a better arm than him by this time next year. And
the long-term outlook is the glass half full.
He's 30?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not worried about him in dynasty rankings.
28.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean he's
20,
he's still in my top 10, whereas maybe he was 6 or 7. Now he's
okay
8 or 9, maybe
so
10.
He doesn't drop too
maybe
bad in
he's
dynasty,
10.
but redraft like this season, there's a drop off.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't know why the chat is looking funky. Let me see if I can fix that.
It's acting up.
It's all
Okay.
squished. You see that?
Do I see that? Yeah, I mean, it looks okay.
All right, I'm gonna have to do this off.
I think it looks all right. I mean, if it looks bad, by all means, you guys feel free to let us know. If it's like, your presentation sucks. But I think it's okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it as is.
I think it's all right.
I'll mess with it later.
Yeah, I think it's
But
fine.
yeah, man, that the DJ Moore comparison, when I came up with it in my head, scared me, and I had to really do a double take and dig into the numbers. And I'm probably gonna do a video about this at some point coming up soon. But yeah,
you want to take the AJ Brown vid? I can give it to you.
You should do the AJ Brown vid, but I'm gonna do another AJ Brown vid. So we're gonna have
two
AJ Brown vids.
Okay.
Taekwon Thor.
Two totally different messages. No, that's not true. No, we have the same concerns for this season. But yeah, I also agree with the glass half full as it pertains to him in Dynasty. I think next year and beyond, he can still be fine. The ship can be righted. It can course correct. We're just anticipating a bit of a drop off this year. That being said, he is still an excellent talent. And trading a first round pick for a wide receiver isn't nothing. That's for sure. He'll be involved in the game plan, but yes, we do probably tentatively have to temper expectations for him this year. As for Hollywood and Logan, what's going on? And we'll get to your question shortly. And Kurt, thanks for joining. As for Hollywood, just to wrap up the thought about the two receivers that got traded during the draft, I mean, his short-term value, it takes a big bump, or it gets a big bump. Acquired by the Cardinals and their now famous air raid offense, where they love to run four wide. Hollywood to the desert, pairs up with his old college quarterback in Kyler Murray. I think they play. Yeah, Marquise went to Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, and we've seen that narrative play out recently very well. We saw it with the Bengals. We're about to see it with the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. So we'll see if the same type of magic can happen there with Kyler and Hollywood Brown, even though they've been in the league already for 3 years and might have to rebuild some of that chemistry.
Right, have to rebuild some chemistry. But they're going to get the chance to do that a lot early and often in 2022 because DeAndre Hopkins is guaranteed to miss the first 6 games of the season. He withdrew his original appeal of the suspension, so it's locked in. It's official. The earliest Hopkins is going to play is week 7. And Marquise Brown, through the first half of last year, was a wide receiver 1. His redraft ADP right now is around, I think, like 65 on Underdog. So that's going up probably around. And in Dynasty, he was already an upside wide receiver too. The only reason he fell off last year was because Lamar Jackson suffered some injuries and Baltimore's season spiraled out. Hollywood is still young. With wide receiver 2 upside, wide receiver 2 annual upside, wide receiver 1 weekly upside, as long as everything's in place for him. He's not like a bona fide star like a DeAndre Hopkins, but if Kyler's healthy and clicking, and Hollywood Brown is out there playing well, he can put up wide receiver 1 numbers.
Now we might see him have a season that was much like last year, where through 6 games, by nature of not having Rashad Bateman in the lineup and having Lamar healthy, Hollywood Brown was a wide receiver 1, a mid-tier wide receiver 1. And then after those 6 games, once Rashad Bateman was brought into the fold there, which is basically what's going to happen to a much larger extent with DeAndre Hopkins being reinserted into the Cardinals lineup, he'll see a drop in production. He will. But that doesn't mean that I'm not investing in him. And if somebody's willing to sell him to you in Dynasty,
right.
I think he's. I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to at least be intrigued by the offer and entertain an offer there. I'm not going to say no, absolutely not. Whereas in the past, probably before last season, I would have said, no, I'm not interested in Marquise Brown. I wasn't a Marquise Brown fan, but his last year's production, just I have no choice but to say, all right,
open your eyes.
Kyler might be dangerous.
Yeah, I think he'll be good.
But Kurt, what's going on? He asks, who are your biggest risers and fallers in the draft?
Real quick, we got to get to Logan's question first.
Oh, sorry, Logan. My bad.
It's about who are 5 taxi squad players to pick up.
How deep are your leagues?
That's
a
good question.
4 rounds deep or 5 rounds deep in your rookie drafts, and how many roster spots do you have?
I was about to say, like, pick up Jeremy Rucker. Like, I have no idea, or Snoop Connor. I have no idea if you know how, or make sure to have Justin Ross start. Like, I mean, that's a good question.
What's going on, Mike? What's going on, Slim?
What's going on, guys?
And sorry, Logan, I didn't mean to skip your question. For some reason, I thought
Logan,
we addressed it because it was before
of
the DJ Moore comment there. So apologies, but
a little bit of context about the league size, Logan, and we can definitely help you out there.
In a vacuum, I mean, I know Charlie Kolar went to the Baltimore Ravens. I know that, and I know Mark Andrews is there, but they just let go of basically all their wide receivers. And if anything were to happen to Mark Andrews, it would be real nice to have the tight end with an RAS above 9 that was drafted in the 4th round by the team. I mean, and I'm not somebody who really likes to handcuff tight ends, but I mean, it kind of feels like the same situation I got with Foster Moreau and Darren Waller. Now Darren Waller is older. But look at what happened when Darren Waller went out last season and you had Foster Moreau. You were able to play him as a borderline tight end 1 most weeks.
Yeah.
So Charlie Kolar is a guy there. I mean, Justin Ross
is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. So as it turns out, he fell because of it was like a spinal injury.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And he had to get something like fused. I don't know if it was in the back.
He had a back
neck.
fusion after his freshman year, and then in his junior year, he mostly played slot because they didn't want to. I guess his explosion was sapped, and then in his senior year, he dealt with a foot injury.
Okay.
But in his freshman season, he was one of the best wide receivers in the league, and people had him. I remember this because I remember researching draft classes when I first got into Dynasty and researching wide receiver draft classes because I believe in building through the wide receiver position for longevity. But I remember looking and seeing an amalgamation of every draft class over the past 4 seasons projected. And Justin Ross was right at the top with Jamar Chase. It was Jamar Chase, then Justin Ross after his freshman season, and then all the injury stuff happened, and then he performed at a much lesser pace over the course of 2 seasons because he was dealing with the injuries. And then he had a bad pro day, or combine, and then he made up for it a little bit with this pro day, ran in the 4.6s, which is the same as a Treylon Burks. But Justin Ross, considering the investment of basically just some guy you can pick up off the wire if he hasn't been drafted already in your leagues, is somebody that I'd be interested in just on upside.
Another guy that I would be interested in, and Logan put it in. It's a 4-round draft, 38 person spots. So we got room. I think that we're talking close to around the right area. Although all these guys might get drafted if it's 38 rosters per, or 38 roster spots. Yeah, I said it right the first time. Yes. This is kind of maybe out of left field a little bit, but I'm looking at New Orleans, and we've been talking about how we're expecting Alvin Kamara to get slapped with a suspension to start the season. They didn't really do a whole lot in the draft. New Orleans did with the backfield, but they did sign Abram Smith as an undrafted free agent. With his current competition being like Mark Ingram and Tony Jones, right?
Is Mark Ingram still there?
I don't know Mark Ingram's contract situation, but I think he might be still there for like one more season.
Let me check that while you continue making your point.
Just that Abram Smith, I mean, again, just look at like you're nearly at 40 man roster spots.
He is there for one more season. And Dwayne Washington is there. Tony Jones, Josh Adams is there from the Eagles. Yeah,
he's bounced around. Abram Smith, undrafted free agent. Somebody to think about, given the fact that it's just like, played at Baylor, did well this year. 38 person roster spots, 4-person draft. We're like Justin Ross might get drafted at the end of that 4th round.
That's a good one.
So like, just looking at,
a couple of guys that I like though to finish this. I like Tyler Goodson. I like Isaiah Pacheco, and I like Tyler Batty. For late round guys, I like to just grab any running back basically. Batty went to Baltimore.
Snoop Connor, Jacksonville.
And with what happened with the running backs last year in Baltimore, if any are slow coming back or more than one are slow coming back, Tyler Batty is a pass catching back with some pretty good athleticism. So he could be involved there. And they let go of all their wide receivers outside of Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews, and brought in blocking tight ends to be able to block and let Mark Andrews be used as a wide receiver. But they basically only have 2 pass catchers. Their 3rd pass catcher, isn't it Tylan Wallace?
Tylan Wallace, Devin Duvernay, James Proche. I'm
Proche,
sorry, I don't know how to. Proche, sorry.
So Tyler Batty might be used as in the short to intermediate pass game there. Tyler Goodson, Green Bay, undrafted free agent, pass catching back. If they don't bring back Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon is the long-term basically RB1 there moving forward, which we believe is the case, maybe Kylan Hill right now is the backup to A.J. Dillon, but they bring in Tyler Goodson to be their Jamal Williams. Right? They've always had a secondary. They're James Starks. They've always had, that team has always had a secondary back that ends up being an RB3 flex by the end of the year. So once Aaron Jones leaves, if Tyler Goodson can prove himself a good NFL running back and outperform his undrafted free agent status, he could be somebody to look at. And Isaiah Pacheco, Derek Gore is his only competition for the 3rd running back slot that we've seen be valuable at times in Kansas City. But you were talking about Snoop Connor?
Well, just to throw another running back in the mix. I mean, I don't know if he'll get drafted or not, but it's pretty simple. Travis Etienne is still a well-regarded prospect in the NFL, but I don't think anybody's expecting him to be like a 3-down, carry the rock 20 times a game plus catch it 3 or 4 times a game type of player. James Robinson is not going to be available to this team with a torn Achilles suffered at the end of the season. He is not going to be available this year. Like maybe at the end of the year. Jacksonville would have to be playing for something, and I don't know that anybody's banking on that.
I'm not.
Exactly. Snoop Connor has like a wide open opportunity here. The Jaguars running back depth chart is not very what did they sign? Did they sign Daria Gumbawale, or they brought him in?
They have Raquel Armstead still.
They've okay.
And I think that's it.
So Snoop Connor, if he doesn't get drafted at the end of the 4th round or somewhere in the 4th round for you, Logan, it's another guy to consider. Check Sleeper. If you're on Sleeper, just
Nathan Cottrell and Mekhi Sargent are there.
Okay. So
Snoop Connor.
Snoop Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, check out these names on Sleeper, and in like, you know, they've got rookie rank, like ADP all over the place on Sleeper. And maybe like look in this range and try to identify some situations that you like.
And just while we're on the topic of late round running back, it looks like the Patriots want to eventually let go of Damian Harris because they drafted a bunch of running backs in this past year's draft.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Pierre Strong. I believe they drafted Ty Chandler and Kevin Harris. Oh no, Ty Chandler was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. So they brought in Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris.
Yeah.
Which muddies the waters for not really this year, because the Patriots typically just don't play running backs right away.
No, even Damian Harris, like he
waited a year, and they were completely fine with that organizationally, and it ended up working out. But that's probably what's going to happen with these running backs because they were drafted late. But as soon as next season, Damian Harris is probably going to be elsewhere because that team believes in saving money where they can, and they can at running back by treating running back the way that they do. And then you're going to have a three-headed running back committee of Ramondre Stevenson, Pierre Strong, and Kevin Harris. We liked Pierre Strong. We liked Kevin Harris. Now it's a little bit more muddy because we don't know if any of these guys are going to get a shot at just the 1B. Even if they're the 1B, there's a 1C because they got drafted to the same team. So those are two guys that I am more hesitant to draft, whereas before the draft, I was super high on those guys.
Always have to be aware to correct post-draft sometimes.
But Ty Chandler's interesting. Going to the Vikings, speaking of Ty Chandler.
Sure. It's not too, like, it's not, for dynasty purposes, taxi squad conversation purposes, he's not exactly light years away from an opportunity.
And Jerome Ford, I would think Jerome Ford gets drafted. I would think maybe Hassan Haskins gets drafted, but if Hassan Haskins does not get drafted, he's a guy that I'm looking at because he now becomes, in competition at least, to be the number one handcuff to Derrick Henry, who we believe will fall off a cliff pretty soon. So Hassan Haskins might be somebody to take a look at. Keontae Ingram, if he's there, definitely somebody to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But he will probably be drafted. But I think that should answer your question.
I think that mostly covers like the low end.
Sorry for skipping that.
Be there.
Yeah, sorry for skipping that.
No, you're good.
First. My bad.
We got it. But let's keep it moving. Kurt did have the biggest risers and fallers question.
Yeah.
You were ready to, or I don't know if you had anybody specific in mind right off the top. I mean,
Gabe Davis. It had me wondering whether or not Gabe Davis was a bad buy with a mid to late first in this year's draft. Would you rather have 23-year-old Gabe Davis or George Pickens?
Davis.
Would you have 23-year-old Gabe Davis or Christian Watson?
Davis.
Who is a complete project, right?
Yeah, Davis.
Would you rather have a late... I think now, looking at it, Gabe Davis for a late 2022
lost on the 2022 first. Yeah.
Is probably was a good deal. And I feel bad that we recommended that people trade Gabe Davis away.
We did recommend it. We were advocating for, like, if you can turn Gabe Davis into a first round pick, to do it. And the Bills didn't really add anything to the wide receiver room. They just added Khalil Shakir.
And that's a 5th round pick. How often do 5th round picks work out?
I mean, and I don't think we weren't anticipating the Bills, like, wide receiver wasn't necessarily a need for them, because they did also sign Jamison Crowder in free agency. It was just a matter of, like, trying to capitalize on. It was following the idea of capitalizing on peak value, and now it's like, if Gabe Davis's peak value after a 4 touchdown performance is the 108, then is peak value necessarily a good thing? So it's something.
No, I mean, the principle was right. I don't believe
the process
that
was
we
correct.
were wrong on saying that you should explore a trade at that time. But, 6 months later, he does look to be the wide receiver 2 in this offense.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephon Diggs is locked up long term, so he's never going to have to go up against the number 1 corner. He's never going to be the number 1 focus of the offense. So, or at least for the next 3 years, 4 years.
Couple seasons, yeah.
At least until his contract is up. But yeah, I mean, now it's like, you'd be happy if the wide receiver you drafted turned out to be what Gabe Davis is. Now, there's a chance that you get more than that. There's a chance that Christian Watson is more than that.
Maybe Watson is better, yeah.
I mean, there's a chance that maybe you get Sky Moore there, and he's more than that. No pun intended. Immediately. Sorry, had to do it. But yes, I mean now that trade at least looks a whole lot more even. Whereas I thought you were winning the trade, getting the first for Gabe Davis. Now, if you got a 2023 second for Gabe Davis, good job.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my biggest riser that wasn't drafted. That was just a beneficiary of what occurred in the draft or didn't occur in the draft. How about you? Who's your biggest riser?
Biggest riser? I mean, Rashad Bateman.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I mean, he's probably a bigger riser than Gabe Davis. I just gotta,
Bateman,
Bills fan. But
he's got. I mean, you have to take him into consideration in this conversation. Marquise Brown is out. They got a first-round pick in return for him, but they did not use that on a wide receiver. They addressed their defense. Baltimore is now looking at a wide receiver room. We already mentioned it. It's a lot of ancillary pieces. Mark Andrews is a top 2 tight end, and then Bateman. It's Rashad Bateman. And the general manager said as much. The Ravens GM, I'm blanking on his name. He's excellent at his job. The Ravens are a great organization.
It's not Ozzie Newsome anymore.
No, Ozzie retired. He had an heir apparent though, and he has been doing this for a couple of years now. Said we drafted Rashad Bateman to be our number 1 receiver, and we think he's going to show you why we believe in him, or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. Hollywood gone. The clear number 1 option now as far as the wide receiver room. Mark Andrews is the number 1 option in the passing game, but Rashad Bateman is the number 1 wide receiver by name, by far, on that Ravens offense. And we saw the Ravens, now it was a little bit of course correcting because of the injuries, the aforementioned injuries to the running backs, but they threw the ball more than they ever had last year with Lamar, ever since Lamar Jackson was inserted as the starter. Does that come back a little bit this year with a healthy Dobbins and Edwards? Probably. But to the point of both of those guys working their way back from previous season-ending injuries, is it so crazy to think that the Ravens will continue to throw at a relatively positive rate, like an above-average rate? Bateman is a direct beneficiary of that, and now Hollywood is gone.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Still young. Lamar is good. I'll say this any day I have to, or when I get the opportunity to bring it up. Lamar can throw the football and does it well. Bateman's a huge winner after the draft.
And biggest faller, man, I would say it's. I mean, for me, I'm gonna go back to my Bills and say Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is a huge faller from the draft. The Bills drafted James Cook in the 2nd round, and it's not that I don't think he's going to get usage. It's that he has 1 more year in the Bills offense until he's in a contract year. Or he is in a contract year. He's not going to get any passes thrown his way. 2nd round draft capital means that James Cook is going to get all the pass catching work. He can. Zach Moss, for what it's worth, is still there. And Devin Singletary didn't get 300 catches or 300 rushes. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary together combined got 300 rushes. So Devin Singletary goes from somebody who, if you look at the end of the season, he was getting 22 rush attempts. He was getting a ton of rush attempts. And over the last span of games, I think he had 4 straight games where he scored a touchdown because he was getting an insane basically an RB1 workload, low-end RB1 workload. But he's not going to catch passes. James Cook is going to be used somewhat in the run game. I can't expect that efficiency from Devin Singletary. I just can't. I just can't. So whereas Devin Singletary for me was a mid to low RB2 coming into the year if they had stayed away from running back.
Mm-hmm.
Now I believe he's kind of an unexciting RB4. And that's he's not my biggest faller, but I'm just sticking with my Bills.
I think he's I think he can be an RB3. I don't, it's not like they drafted Breece Hall, but obviously.
You remember when everybody wrote off Devin Singletary because he wasn't that good because they drafted Zach Moss and everybody loved Zach Moss?
Until until we all realized Zach Moss couldn't do it either.
Remember when the Bills were completely happy running Matt Breida out there because they thought Matt Breida was better than Devin Singletary? They literally tried everything to not play Devin Singletary out there. And then they drafted a running back in the second round and picked up, I know it's Duke Johnson, but they picked up Duke Johnson.
Yeah.
So
one of the best runners in the history of the U. For what it's worth.
Hey.
Okay. I mean, I hear you. For me, the biggest faller is easy. I mean, it's Michael Carter.
Oof, yeah.
Like the biggest I would argue is Michael Carter. And it's simple. The player who has settled in as the consensus 101 in rookie drafts this year landed there in a wide open opportunity. We've been saying all offseason long, and I know that we are not alone in this, that we expected Breece Hall to take over whatever backfield he ended up in, and it wouldn't matter the landing spot. Michael Carter showed a little something last year. I think he's a decent little player. I think he's a good back. I think he's a good complementary player, but he's about to be relegated to 30% of the snaps.
Yeah, I think he becomes Bilal Powell.
Maybe it's like a 65-35 split, like at first.
On the Jets, smallish running back, gonna mostly catch passes.
Yeah. Like maybe it's a 65-35 split here and there. Maybe
Is he Boston Scott? Is he young Boston Scott?
I think he can. No, I think he can be better than that because Boston Scott, I believe, went undrafted. Carter does have 4th round draft capital to his name.
No, but in that he's in the usage category.
I think he could be better. I mean,
in the usage category. Because Breece is going to get everything. I'm just talking about in the usage category.
Just from a usage perspective,
is he going to basically be what Boston Scott is?
Sure, yeah, but maybe he's a little bit more efficient than Boston Scott in that role.
Yeah, I think he would be
better player.
Yeah, I'm just talking about role.
But yeah, it's going to be a severely reduced role for Michael Carter. I mean, Breece Hall is going to be. I think the expectation is. Maybe not a full-fledged bell cow, but pretty close.
So I know we got a lot of chat to catch up on, but one other one in the winner category,
what's going on, everybody?
Biggest riser that occurred to me was, I mean, if you're a contender or if you're in redraft, Adam Thielen got no competition at our wide receiver 2 when I thought there was a good chance that Adam Thielen was going to get at least some competition.
You were pounding the table for the Vikings to draft a wide receiver.
Yep, and they didn't. So Adam Thielen to the moon, dude. Again. But hope that helps, Kurt. Thanks for tuning in. Objective, you might be biased, but you think that CEH is a bit of a winner, hoping to get a sell window this year. Well, they didn't draft a running back, so I guess he's a winner.
He's a winner. Yeah, he's a winner because they didn't add to the backfield, so that's good. But Sky Moore is probably going to be used, a lot around the line of scrimmage, right?
I think Sky Moore is going to be used a lot down the field. I think Juju is going to be the one that's going to be used.
Juju's going to be used in
all
the
around
slot,
close to the line of scrimmage. But Rojo ain't.
No, well, Rojo can't catch passes.
But he's going to be in there on the goal line taking all of CEH's work. So
he will be on the goal line. He
might be a winner based on the draft, but you look at what they've done in free agency, and I'm still not high on CEH. If he gets a sell window at all this season, do it immediately.
At this point, yeah.
And what's going on, Slim? Good job. Good job. Didn't have to use your second. Yeah, we're seeing that too. We picked him up 307 as well, didn't we?
307.
Yeah, we got him 307. So, and what's going on, Mike?
What's going on, guys? Thanks
Johnny
for stopping
Jones,
by, coming to hang out.
How's it going with you, bro? I had my draft Sunday, so I didn't have much time to prepare.
Got Jameson at the 109.
Right,
Hell yeah, kid.
Rashad
White in the
Yep,
we just did that earlier.
Yep. Picked up Justin Ross on waivers. Hey man,
we were just talking about him. We were
2
just
hours
talking
later,
about
the Chiefs get him. So you picked him up before the Chiefs news came out. That's
a hell of a draft, dude.
Good job, man.
You did very well. You did more than not too bad. You did better than not too bad.
I mean, that's the benefit of just waiting.
Hell yeah,
and
man. That's a great draft.
overreacting to landing spot. You got Jamison Williams at 109. I'm thinking he should go 102.
That's silly.
Oh man, you got Rashad White in the second round. I don't know where you were drafting, but that's probably 209. If you got him at the 209, that's a win.
Awesome.
If you got Zamir White at the 309, that's a win.
Justin Ross
Good
on
job.
waivers.
Good job.
Big time win.
And Mike, you made a few trades today to get the Rodgers Watson stack.
Yeah, we were real quick. Mike and I were talking a lot through that in Discord today, just like to figure out.
I missed that one, Mike. My bad.
To figure out the moving pieces, but real quick, Johnny did ask what the Chiefs' backfield is going to look like. We did kind of already allude to it, but Ronald Jones is going to get a lot of running work. Right, he's the rushing part of the rushing attack. I think Clyde, I think maybe is the starter in name. Will mix in for carries, will be much more likely to catch passes than Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is pretty close to a 0 as far as catching passes. So that's not going to be what he's asked to do, but he'll take short yardage touches. He will take goal line touches. He'll take whatever, when the scenario is like an obvious running play, when maybe you're trying to switch things up or you're changing the pace or you're in control of a situation, you want to run the ball. I think that'll be Ronald Jones. Clyde will run the ball as a change of pace, different look type of situation, and he'll catch passes, hopefully. That's the only way he can salvage his fantasy value at this point. I think Ronald Jones, relative to his redraft ADP, is actually going to be decently valuable. Clyde, maybe you can say the same thing because he's getting drafted in the 8th, 9th round. But I do think he's headed for a bit more of a change of pace role. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Well,
but go. Look, Ronald Jones is not some world beater, and I'm sure Clyde will have his games, but Ronald Jones, if there's one thing you can definitively say, I think Ronald Jones is a little bit more, he's just a bigger back. Obviously everything's all relative, but Ronald Jones isn't the biggest back, but he's certainly bigger than CEH. So there's going to be opportunities there.
Yeah. No,
they're both middling.
We did a deep dive video on Ronald Jones. I don't know if you caught it. If you didn't, go on the channel page and search Ronald Jones. It'll come up, and that'll give you an idea of what we think about Ronald Jones in depth with some numbers to back it up, and what we think about CEH as well. And we do mention Derek Gore in there as well. So take a look at that after the stream. But sorry, I didn't mean to skip your comment there. I'm skipping chats all over the place.
You're wheeling
and
dealing. Oh, the trade has been completed too. John just, I think in that moment, just proposed a trade and got it accepted. So there you go.
Y'all know me.
I got to look at the details now. But anyway, yeah, Mike, I'll let you, John, take this for a second so I can look at the details. But yeah, we were talking about.
It's just to pick up. It's to pick up the third that's on the board.
Oh, fun. Okay. Well, all right. Okay. Great. Awesome. Assets. Mike's a Packers fan. Wanted to create the Aaron Rodgers, Christian Watson stack. Helped talk him through it a little bit today. Wondering if he made a mistake. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the trade. This is Superflex. He acquired Aaron Rodgers and Tim Patrick. Correct me if I'm wrong. For Mac Jones and somebody else. Maybe it was it was Robert Woods.
Oh, win, dude.
That's a win.
Get out of here. You got younger at wide receiver, and arguably you got better at wide receiver, and you got older at quarterback, but Mac Jones should top out as a high-end QB2 in fantasy, and you got a guy that can be a QB1.
Yeah.
There is a QB1 year.
Is a QB1, even without his star receiver.
And I know you might be worried about longevity, but he's got a good 3 years.
Yeah, he's got at least 2, but yeah, could be 3.
And
I'm actually not sure what I remember the Watson trade. I think he was trading up to get like the 107 to ensure that he gets Watson. What was it? The 107 and Hollywood for J.K. Dobbins and a 2nd round pick. I think that's what it was. So I said, I'm okay with that too. Gave up Dobbins and a 2nd for Hollywood and a 1st. I'm good with that. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Okay.
So I'm good with that. And Slim agrees.
You've always been really high on Hollywood, so it's.
I like Hollywood. I do like Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I have been a fan of Hollywood. I like burners, man. Give me guys that can run fast, catch the ball all the way down the field, 40 yards away from everybody else. Give me those guys. But yeah. Oh, so are we on the clock right now with this pick?
Yeah.
What in the world? What are we even doing?
I don't know, man. I just made a trade to make a trade. Yeah.
Oh, you silly for that one. Okay. Well, I'll let you decide. I
was under the impression that Sam Howell was still on the board, and for some reason he was not. And I'm thinking that he was. So
you blew it.
We don't need to go there.
All right.
But
okay.
And Slim with the astrology take. I love it.
So we're good. Everything's all well with that trade. We're good. And everybody, the chat agrees.
What's going on, Alex? What's going on, Rojo?
What's going on, boys?
Hey, man, long day at work. I know how that is. But, yeah,
sir.
Man, glad you're in here. Glad to chill with you. Objective. If I can pick between Shakir or Jelani at 3-6, which would you take? I would take Jelani.
We saw Shakir go, like 3-5?
You have the 3-10. I mean, I like Khalil Shakir, but he's a 5th round pick. And how often do 5th round picks work out? So it's not like he was drafted in the 3rd round. It's not like he has that draft capital. He fell into the 5th. And this is a team that does have a fair amount of wide receiver depth ahead of him. I mean, Stephon Diggs, obviously, Gabe Davis. Jamison Crowder is there and will take that Cole Beasley role. There's a chance that Khalil Shakir can grow into the Emmanuel Sanders role in this offense. But I don't know. There's a lot to extrapolate there when you're looking at Shakir. So I would rather just go Jelani. I would.
Yeah. We just saw Shakir go a couple picks before Jelani in a rookie draft. One draft obviously is not an indication on what'll happen with your draft, but I mean the capital is in Jelani's favor. We don't expect either to contribute right now, but one is a position where you're hoping for production sooner than later, and one you're not expecting at all, which is Jelani. Jelani is the cake that we are letting bake. We are just let that sit in the oven and let him learn. Let him get learn the playbook, learn how to play the position. That's the most important thing. Like at its core, and I can only say, I can only say this from absorbing information from the grapevine. The tight end position is one of the most difficult to learn how to play for a young player entering the NFL. Woods is going to take some time, whereas Khalil Shakir, we're rooting for him to do well, but could very easily and more likely be replaced sooner than a tight end prospect who has the athletic profile of Jelani Woods.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like Khalil Shakir.
I mean, for me, it's not even that. It's just Jelani Woods there are very few elite tight ends, and there are very few tight end prospects who come in having the ceiling of an elite tight end. And Jelani Woods has that. And Khalil Shakir, I love the offense he went to. I like him as a prospect. I do not believe he has the upside to be a top 6 wide receiver in this league. Whereas Jelani Woods has the opportunity and the talent to eventually become a top 6 tight end in this league for multiple years. So that's the distinction for me. But there you go. And Rashad in the early second, like 204. All right. Hey, man, that's still a great get. That's still a great get. We love Rashad in the second. So good job. And you have Fournette, so you can kind of just chill on that whole situation.
You
and
can just,
regardless, you
coast into that.
Yeah,
that's nice.
That's great. That's great.
Coast into that transition. Nice. 204 is perfectly fine for him. I promise. I think this is the last time we'll talk about this rookie draft that we're doing today.
Zamir White fell to the 5th round. The last pick was 3.
Bro, I told you his ADP has not corrected on Sleeper.
That's crazy.
So people are just like letting it go, and because he was a day 3 pick behind Josh Jacobs, people are overlooking him. People are overlooking him for 2 reasons. He's going to be behind Josh Jacobs this year, fell to the day 3, and Sleeper has not corrected his ADP yet. People that's my only explanation. People are forgetting about him. Not this crew, though.
That's the benefit of drafting right after. If you can do some mocks like this, if you can work your way through the new ADP of things, post draft, you can kind of for the systems that you're working on. Everyone has their own rankings, and every system updates differently. You can take advantage of Zamir White being so low in Sleeper's projected ADP right now in your drafts if you have a draft over the next few days and they fail to correct that. So use that to your advantage. And y'all, the last stream we had a very shaky setup. There were issues with our internet or our connection or something like that. We changed a few settings around. We moved things around in both of our places. I know, Nick, you called your internet service provider to see what was going on.
Yep.
If y'all could let us know how the stream is looking. Is it choppy? Is it glitchy? Is it slow?
I think it's all right.
Is the audio and the video synced up? Just let us know, and we're trying to make it
synced up.
Yeah, we're trying to make it as good as possible for you guys, but there's a little bit of trial and error involved, unfortunately. So let us know. But hey, man, I agree, Rojo. On the Zamir White bandwagon, that report that came out, I believe it was yesterday, about Zamir White, where the Patriots might be thinking of him as their number 1 back as soon as next season, which is something that we speculate. What did I say?
I think you said the Patriots.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I was thinking Josh McDaniels. The Raiders.
You're deep in trade talks.
I'm an idiot.
You're deep in trade talks.
The Raiders might let go of, or let Josh Jacobs walk after this year. And it could be the Zamir White it could be Zamir White's backfield as soon as 2023. So I like that pick. And Shakir's going to be good, but in 3 years, yeah, I see that being the thing. If he's going to be good, he's going to be good like in the same way that he's going to take the same route that Stephon Diggs took. Stephon Diggs was a wide receiver 3 for a few years. And then all of a sudden he switched teams and was a wide receiver 1. Khalil Shakir, he's not going to switch teams, but it's going to take him a few years, and he's probably going to be more of a all or nothing wide receiver 3 for a few years. Yeah. But are you looking at what we're trying to do in this draft now?
Yeah, who do we want to pick? We're holding up the whole draft. We traded for the pick and then are holding everybody up.
Bro. We are weak at tight end. There are no quarterbacks we need. Daniel Bellinger, get the New York Giants next tight end for the foreseeable future. I know it's not an exciting pick, bro, but I think that's the move.
Your boy Batty is right there.
Yeah, bro, we can probably get him at the end of the draft as a UDFA.
All right, I'm taking Bellinger. Yeah?
I mean, they got Ricky Seals-Jones and Jordan Atkins ahead of him.
I took him.
Okay.
I just took him. Everybody in the league's gonna go, wow.
I don't care.
I know. I can't. No,
drafted in the 4th round. I mean, just
anticipating the reaction.
I don't care. People can hate on my rankings of tight ends. It's backed up.
the next.
Everybody loves Greg Dulcich, but he's playing behind Noah Fant. Against
Alberto.
Behind Alberto, and Alberto was good for like 300 yards a season behind Noah Fant. So I love Greg Dulcich, the prospect, but
what if Dulcich overtakes him?
What?
What if he overtakes Alberto?
No, I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't see it. That team just likes to have a weird 2 tight end set when they run 3 wide receiver deep, a good wide receiver. It's weird. It's backwards. But yeah. All right, we are off the clock. Sorry, y'all, making trades and making draft picks.
Our draft is
while
done.
We're live, but it happens.
We had to think long and hard about Bellinger. That's what we'll tell people.
What's this, Rojo?
Oh, is this Shakir?
He was the number 1 running back in. Yeah, I mean the worry on him is the 2 ACLs and the landing spot. People don't love the landing spot, but I look at it as a plus. And that report that came out is kind of proof of that line of thought. Yeah, it's telling. So. Yeah, like
it still has to actually happen. It still needs to actually develop and unfold that way.
But that's more that's more encouraging than the report that came out today on Dameon Pierce that said where the coach himself said he's gonna have to work for it. Nothing's given. I don't see him as the starter.
Yeah, they always do that.
Yeah, Marlon Mack. Rex Burkhead,
the guy. Yeah.
I'm only half joking. That is most likely coach speak, but
it's coach speak. But what I was gonna say, I mean, like the but part of Zamir White is, Josh Jacobs also had his option declined. Like they are clearly ready to explore all avenues.
They've been ready.
They're going to do that this year.
Now. You don't bring in Kenyon Drake after he scored 20 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons before he was brought in.
That was just Gruden tossing money around like a jackass.
Hey, it counts. It counts.
But that's just
Pierre Strong. What a dumb move.
That's just Gruden tossing around money because he didn't know how to build an NFL team.
It's not a dumb move.
You're off on Pierre Strong.
I'm off on the situation he finds himself in. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's Damian Harris's contract situation? 2 more years?
1 more year, I believe.
1 more year? Oh, well then why are you so far off of him?
Because at best he's still going to be in a 3-back committee.
Yeah, but I mean he's going to be cheap. He's going to go in the where did he just go? The 4-1? That's not expensive capital.
But what do we always say in redraft leagues?
We want the running back.
No. We want the running back in the offense with the lowest ADP.
Oh, yes.
You said that first. I'm copying you. You taught me that.
Yes, I did say that.
And
yes.
Who's the running back in this offense with the lowest ADP in a rookie draft? Kevin Harris.
True.
Kevin Harris might be a better all-around prospect than Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong just has the speed, and we love the speed. You're like Al Green. Or Al Davis, not Al Green. Al Green was the soul set.
I am Al Davis. I would draft. I would be like, I need burners at every position.
Exactly. I would rather have Kevin Harris, man. I would wait and draft Kevin Harris.
Okay. What's up, Iron?
What's going on, Iron?
Did you get the 102? Tell me you got the 102 for that offer earlier. Yeah, that's fair. I guess I guess my question would be, this is absolutely a redraft mindset that I like to stick to, is if when the situation is unsettled, take the running back. If a backfield situation is unsettled, take the back with the cheapest ADP. I don't know that necessarily just does. I guess I'm asking, more or less, and it's an open-ended question. Does that directly correlate to rookie drafts? Like, do you guys look at John or anyone?
I mean,
this team drafted 2 guys, one in the 3rd, one in the 5th.
When they're running backs,
Yeah.
absolutely. Look at what happened with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, drafted in the same draft. One was drafted earlier, one was drafted later, and the one that was drafted, I believe, in the 5th round worked out. Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell. If you invested heavily in Trey Sermon, you're probably kicking yourself that you didn't just wait and draft Elijah Mitchell.
Yep.
Yeah, every situation is different. In this situation, you're not investing a late first, early second. You're really only investing a an early fourth. But if you could spend that on another back in another backfield and pick up Kevin Harris as an undrafted free agent, I'd rather do that. I'd rather diversify my bonds. Dave Chappelle.
Legend.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. It can apply. Iron did. He did do the trade. Yeah. Grab Walker. Grab Walker at the 102 and your favorite receiver at the 104. I would hope for J-Mo, but if you like Burks, take Burks. I would probably personally take J-Mo if I could. If I thought I could get, or maybe like I take Walker and then knowing I'm going to get a receiver regardless because I have those 2 picks, like I would also take Wilson. But I think that is the move.
Yeah.
I think that is the move. When you have multiple top 5 picks this year, if you only have one, if it's the 102.
I think it also depends on where you're at. Like if you need to win now, Treylon Burks. If you don't need to win right now and you can afford to kind of wait a little bit and let a wide receiver mature, Jameson Williams.
I'm very excited about Jameson Williams.
But Treylon Burks is going to get a ton of work.
He's going to get work this year. Yeah, he's going to get work this year. But I do like Jameson long term. Troy stops in. How's it going, Troy? About asking how are we feeling about the Lions. Well, I'm happy to talk about Jameson Williams. I think he's going to be excellent.
I love the Lions skill position players. The question remains when they're going to get a bona fide NFL QB built for the 2020s and not the 2000s.
Could be next year. Their defense still is very much a work in progress, right? They traded. What did they do? They traded the 32nd pick plus to move up to the 12th pick. So they made a significant jump, which tells you all you need to know about how they feel about Jameson Williams, who I'm very high on. Goff doesn't inspire a ton of long-term confidence. We know that. He's good enough to help you. You can compete game in, game out with Jared Goff. Not every single week, but you can compete game in, game out. Ideally, if you're the Lions, you're in a situation where you're higher than you are as opposed to not for the 2023 draft. Put yourself in a position to get one of those top-rated quarterbacks. That would be great. That would propel the Lions forward by multiple years. Assuming one of them works out. Their offensive line is improving. Penny is excellent. He's an excellent draft pick. The defense needs a lot of work, and they have time to build that. But yeah, need the quarterback. Love the potential of the offense, though. The offense has the chance to be a lot of fun for a few years, especially if they land a legitimate quarterback prospect, which they should try to position themselves to do as soon as next year.
Yeah, young offense, playmakers pretty much everywhere, and we found that out last year, even at the wide receiver position without DJ Chark and Jameson Williams in there. And because DJ Chark is there, they can kind of afford to wait on Williams and still try to compete. But next year, Jameson Williams just comes right in and steps right into that DJ Chark role, and it's Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, and whoever they get at quarterback. And that looks like a great offense on paper, considering the youngest person or the oldest person would by 2023, I believe, would be TJ Hawkinson at 26.
Just in time for him to really start to come into his own, or he should be. He's already very good. He's still young enough to get better. Yeah, I mean, the pieces are in place on offense for the Lions. The pieces are there. Maybe they need one more receiver, but the offense could compete this year. Goff has some shortcomings, and the defense needs a lot of work.
I mean, that second
overall,
that
they're
wide
trending
receiver
up.
they need might be DJ Chark, and they just
Could be
continue to hold
Chark.
DJ Chark, and then still DJ Chark next year will only be 26. So
yeah,
that's
could be Chark.
Something to think about. It. They might have that wide receiver that they need on the roster already.
Could be.
But I really like Keontae Ingram in Arizona too, Iron.
They added nothing. Well, I mean, just to back up a little bit, we were once again off James Conner, and once again it might have burned. Like, Conner might be an RB1 again this year. But yeah, I mean, for Keontae Ingram, it's Eno Benjamin and Ingram as the backups. That is it. That is the Cardinals' backfield, and they could still sign a player in free agency, pick somebody up during the season if they needed to, but. I mean, opportunities wide open for Ingram.
Yeah.
They did nothing. The Arizona was a trendy team to potentially select a running back in the draft, and they just said, "No, we're good. We're fine. We're gonna let Chase Edmonds walk in." That's
Eno Benjamin.
Eno's the number 2 in that offense now. They must have some level of confidence in him. There's no other way around it, because
or they're picking up your boy Devonta Freeman.
Yeah, or they're trading for
what is dead may never die.
Yeah.
Yep.
Salute. So yeah, Ingram's in a good spot. Competition's wide open behind James Conner for the backup role. Conner might be a second round pick in redraft.
I'd get him at the turn. I wouldn't get him before the turn.
Getting
him before the turn might end up working out for you if you're that bullish on him. It would have last year. If you drafted James Conner in the first round, it would have worked out for you last year. So if he can replicate that again this year with less competition through the first half of the season, much less competition through the air through the first half of the season, James Conner is going to be great for fantasy. So, if you can get him at the 201 in redraft, great. If you can get him at the 201 in best ball, great.
Feels like
if
the
you
right
can
move.
trade at the 201 to get him, great. In Dynasty, I mean.
Yeah, at this point.
If you're a contender,
if you're a contender,
somehow have the
Connor's an easy
201.
buy. Yep, Connor's an easy buy.
Yeah.
If he found his way to a team that's not so good.
Damn, I gotta do that.
And you're contending.
You
relax over there.
I'm sending out more offers. Hey.
Made enough trades today.
No such thing.
Ha.
No such thing.
Irons between Burks and Jameson.
We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burks now, JMO long term.
Yeah. Burks is the safest bet for year 1 production in the league.
Yep.
From as far as the rookie wide receivers go.
But long term has a lot of question marks because Tannehill appears to be on the way out, and we don't know what Malik Willis is ultimately going to be.
Right. What do you think about Bryan Edwards?
What do you think about Bryan Edwards this year?
I mean, I think he's a wide receiver that needs to go to a different team. He needs to go to if he had the luck to be a free agent last year, and the Titans picked him up last year, and he was opposite A.J. Brown on the Titans. Wow, Julio Jones was out, and it wasn't Nick Westbrook-Akine, and it wasn't Chester Rogers, and it wasn't Josh Reynolds. If it was Bryan Edwards, I feel like that would have been great because we could have finally seen what he actually is. He needs to go to the Falcons so that he can get a starting job and we can see what he is on a team that with a quarterback that doesn't just hate him and a scheme that doesn't work for him. I just want to see him on another team to make sure that he's really done and really not going to work.
Real quick, Troy, if you're still in here, I totally forgot the Lions drafted Aiden Hutchinson second overall, so my bad. I'll finish a thought about the Lions quick in a second, but I don't think Edwards necessarily needs to go to a different team. Devontae Adams is a bona fide wide receiver 1 in a way that Henry Ruggs wasn't. And so, the upside, the potential of Ruggs was there, but Adams has already achieved it and then some. You are not going to be able to do anything with Bryan Edwards other than single coverage all season long. If he can do it, if he can do it at the NFL level, then he should be able to do it on the Raiders as the third option in the passing game, maybe fourth because Renfro and Waller.
Yeah, my problem is the target share he's going to be receiving.
Yeah, it's not going to be very high. I don't want him
to see 3 targets a game. Like, okay, so then that's what he's been getting. I want to see him go to a team where he's not the 4th passing down option, where it's not Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfro, Bryan Edwards competing with the running backs for those ancillary targets behind the big 3. I want him to go to like the Falcons or something, where they really have to put him out there as their number 2 target, number 3 target at worst.
Yeah,
it's wishful thinking. I don't think it's going to happen. That's what I would like to see happen for Bryan Edwards, because call me crazy, he was one of the first guys that I latched onto as a prospect when I first started Dynasty.
Yeah.
And I can't quit.
It would have made sense for him to be in the Adams trade going back to Green Bay. That would have made a ton of sense.
Why didn't they do that?
Because they didn't use the thinking part of their brain when they made the trade. Yeah. And then Troy, just to wrap up, I made a couple of comments. The Lions defense needs a lot of work. In theory, Aiden Hutchinson is a big step forward in doing that. But they still we'll see how Okudah is coming back from his injury that cost him the season last year, except for all but like 2 games, maybe. So we'll see how he does in his recovery. He has the potential to still be really good. He's not that old. Former top 5 pick for the Lions. There are pieces developing in Detroit. Offensive line still needs a little bit of work, and the defense could use an extra couple of pieces. They're trending up. They're still behind the Packers. They're still behind the Vikings. They're not behind the Bears. But still got a little bit of a ways to go. And obviously, they still need a long-term answer at quarterback. But what they did this, Hutchinson at 2, trading up to J-Mo, good first round.
What's going on, P. Diddy? Would you guys take a chance on Willis at the end of the first?
No.
I would say if he's there and you want him, I would try to trade back until the middle of the second and then take him there and pick up another asset. Yep. I'm a big believer in moving around in the draft. If you're at a place in the draft and don't love the players there and are thinking of a reach, don't reach. Somebody will like some other players there. Trade back. I know it's a gamble. You might not get Malik Willis, but you still increase your chance at getting value in the draft if you acquire some more assets in the draft. So I would try to trade back from that first. We traded back from the 112 today in a joint league that we're in, the league that I just made the dumb pick swap trade in, because I'm a degenerate. We moved the 112 for somebody who was really hot to get into the first round, into the first round, for a 2023 second, 2023 first, Curtis Samuel, and the 307, which we turned into Jelani Woods.
Yep. That was a thing of beauty.
If you can do something like that, considering it might be the end of the first, but it's still the first round, you can still probably swap that first rounder for the 205 and a 24 first, 23 first. You might have to give a little bit back if the owner's playing hardball, but you can absolutely do something like that. There will probably be an owner in your league that is willing to do something like that. Sacrifice a little bit of their future for right now.
And if there's somebody else who wants Willis at that same spot, still take advantage of it. Because at the end of the day, I think Malik Willis is a good value now, but not at the end of the first round. That's like, it's officially a little too high for me.
Yeah, if somebody else is thinking, oh man, well, look at how far Willis fell, I'll definitely trade a first plus to get Willis. That's fine too.
Take that.
Because that first next year could turn into CJ Stroud. That first next year could turn into DJ Ugalele. That first next round pick next year could turn into Bryce Young. You don't know. So you could end up getting a huge quarterback upgrade if you wait a year. And sometimes it pays to be patient in Dynasty. I like Malik Willis's chances of starting in year 2.
Yep.
I do. But he has some warts on his profile that you can't ignore when you put him side by side with the guys that were expecting to be drafted high in 2023.
No, unlike this year, we're going to see multiple quarterbacks go in the first round next year.
This was an outlier year. This was the outlier year. Quarterbacks have never fallen this far.
Right. So that tells you all you need to know.
Quarterbacks are always drafted high.
Yup. Always risers, even in weak classes. So, yeah. Take advantage of people still believing in Willis. Not that I'm like completely out on Willis, but yeah. I mean, we gotta let him fall in rookie drafts the way he fell in the NFL draft. We have to. And if somebody wants to give you assets to move up to take advantage of drafting him when they already think the dip is far enough, when in fact it's not, take advantage of it.
I mean, yeah, and if you can trade back, go into the second, pick up a first next year, he gets taken, and you end up getting Desmond Ridder, that's not a far drop off in talent, perceived talent at least, based off of, hey, Desmond Ridder's probably going to get a chance to start this year. His quarterback competition is much less. Plus, he comes with the rushing upside, not the same rushing upside that Malik Willis does, but rushing upside, and he has better draft capital. So all three of those things matter. I know, pre-draft, we were looking at them like they were nowhere near the same type of prospect. They're a lot closer now, based off of what we know and how we know that NFL teams value them.
Yep.
But yeah, I hope that helps. What's going on, Nene? If you pick Willis in fantasy in the first round, you got to be smoking something.
Yeah,
strong.
I mean,
I want to hit it.
Look, some people are going to do it because their eyes get big when they see a quarterback, and they're not, they're looking at the situation, they're looking at the other options at quarterback. They feel like they need a quarterback. They take Willis. I'm not doing it. Second round, sure. It's got to be after the 205 though. At this point. And if it's any time before the 205 and if you're getting the vibe somebody wants Willis, or they tell you outright, or if you hear like, I want Willis, take that pick, offer it to them, ask for something extra, trade back.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't. Not now. Definitely not now. If he goes 20th overall to the Steelers, then yeah, he's the second overall pick the way he was being mocked in the pre-draft process. Reality had another plan. So, yeah, don't take him there.
Yeah, smart thing is to trade back. Trade back.
Yep.
Back if the best person on your board is James Cook. Trade back if the best person on your board is Malik Willis and none of the other quarterbacks, or maybe just Kenny Pickett is gone. There's a couple scenarios.
If it's the end of the first, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of scenarios where, if nobody's there. I mean, we traded back and the next pick was George Pickens. I like George Pickens. I love the fact that we traded back and picked up a first for basically nothing to get Rachaad White, who we were thinking of drafting with that pick in the first place. So, most times trading back is the smart thing to do. New Era TB, and traded my first and AJ Green for Chase Claypool, so I don't have one this year and need a running back. Anybody must grab if they're available in the second.
We're seeing Rachaad White fall to the middle of the second round. I don't know if that'll happen in your draft, but that's a good get. If you can get Rachaad White in the second round, that's a good get.
If you can
I didn't think that would happen.
If you can get George Pickens in the second, depending on where you're drafting in the second, he might not have gone.
Yeah.
I might hedge my bet with Chase Claypool, considering Claypool is only going to be there for another 2 seasons, right? And then Claypool is probably gone, and then it's Deontay Johnson and George Pickens for the Steelers, who are notorious for finding great wide receiver prospects, not just good ones. They're notorious for identifying great wide receiver prospects. Everybody's worried about George Pickens off the field issues. Who's the best out of any team in the NFL? George Pickens went to the Steelers, who notoriously have wide receiver prospects every year with off the field issues. Chase Claypool himself has off the field issues. AJ Brown has off the field issues. Juju Smith-Schuster's a little bit of a TikTok diva, not necessarily off the field issues, but he's a personality.
People have
to say the
labeled
least.
Those things as distractions before.
Mike Wallace was a little bit of a diva. Didn't wanted all the money in the world, and they said, "Nah, you can walk." Martavis Bryant had off the field concerns, and that led to him really only having a 2-year career in the NFL. But they were really good at finding the talented ones.
The talent was there.
So George Pickens, Chase Claypool, we like. Chase Claypool is young. Chase Claypool, let me see, I believe he only has 2 years left on his deal, but then he's probably going to go elsewhere, a la a DJ Chark, with hopefully more cachet behind him and more value.
Yeah.
But George Pickens he has 2 more seasons there. So after 2023, Chase Claypool is gone. If you want to go running backs, I would say you need to go running back.
We saw Rashad go in the middle of the second round.
You have Tariq Cohen, Jamar Jefferson, Demetric Felton, Phillip Lindsay are all on the block, and your starters are James Conner and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, it's
your starters are fine, but
it's Rashad White, it's Dameon Pierce. At the end of the round, it's Tyler Algier, and maybe Brian Robinson.
I'd rather have Tyler Algier
or Zamir
than
White.
Dameon Pierce.
Zamir White.
I'd rather have Tyler Algier than Dameon Pierce.
Wow, I don't know if I'm ready to go there. Yeah,
Mike
as
Davis is gone. His competition
I know.
is Cordero Patterson.
I know.
Who's Dameon Pierce's competition?
Well, for Dynasty, Dameon Pierce was a 3rd-round pick. Algier, who I like, was a 5th-round pick and might contribute this year, but might get supplanted quickly next year. It's not going to take much to improve on 5th-round draft capital. When the Falcons figure to be a year closer to actual contention. That's all.
I am of the position that 3rd-round running backs get replaced all the time. Maybe I just saw it with my team doing it. The Bills drafting Devin Singletary, and then a year after drafting Zach Moss, and then waiting a year, and then the year after that drafting a running back in the 2nd round. Look at what the Patriots just did. They just got Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris looking like a really good duo in the NFL. Underrated, good duo in the NFL. They're ready to just move off that and go to some new guys to save at the position. 3rd-round running backs get replaced. If you're not a 2nd-round running back, you get replaced. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. James Robinson, undrafted free agent. A little bit different of a situation, a little bit more extreme of a situation.
Yeah.
But he was a great running back who was one of the better starters in the NFL. He was not the issue for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They said, you know what? Travis Etienne.
Definite big-time outlier situation.
Right, but my point is that running backs get replaced, and just because a running back has 3rd-round draft capital in Dameon Pierce doesn't mean he's not going to get supplanted by another guy that they draft next season. A 3rd-round draft pick and a running back doesn't preclude the team from replacing him in 1 year. Not anymore.
All right. I hear you. I guess I'm just of the mindset that as much as I like Algier, the Falcons are going to add more to that backfield over time. And Rex Burkhead is not too far away from being done.
Right, but you need Rex Burkhead to be cut to be able to say that Dameon Pierce has basically the same caliber
Well,
of competition as Tyler Algier. So you need something to happen there for Dameon Pierce. You really don't need it. It already happened. Mike Davis was released. It already happened for Algier. So that's what I'm saying. Algier just gets that slight tick ahead for me. They're really right there. They're in my rankings. Algier is one ahead of Dameon Pierce, but he is ahead of Dameon Pierce. And what's going on, Kilo? Thanks for the question, New Era.
And
Rashad White,
grab
Zamir
Batty,
White, Tyler
grab Batty
Algier
as a handcuff. Yes.
And yes, I would. Yeah, when I wish his name was spelled like that. It is only 1D, but yeah.
We could spell it Batty.
Like it.
We could spell it with 2 Ds. Yeah. Rashad White, Zamir White, Algier, Dameon Pierce. Those guys.
What's going on, Kilo? It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah,
You're trying to deal your 106 and Ayuk for Higgins, and then flipping Higgins and Freiermuth for another piece for Pitts.
Sheesh.
So altogether, you're trading the 106 Ayuk and Freiermuth and another piece for Pitts. So you gotta. I know you're trying to piece together a masterpiece to get Pitts.
Yeah.
The 106 Ayuk and Freiermuth doesn't like. I just don't understand. Is the person saying you need to get Higgins to make this happen, or are you saying that? Are you saying I need to get Higgins to make this happen? Because I think you can be saying, hey, look at Ayuk. Debo's probably going to get traded. Look at Ayuk, 106. Look what you can get from that.
You're not going to get Pitts for that.
Yeah, but like,
well, maybe
seems like a lot of trouble making 2 trades if you don't need to, unless the person said, I need Higgins back.
Get a three-way trade going.
Yeah, those are fun. I've never participated in one, but I want to.
If you're on Sleeper, Kilo, you could do 3-way trades. At the end of the day, it's a lot. But if you can get Kyle Pitts, who is a top 5 dynasty asset in general, maybe more like top 10 in Superflex, top 12. I'm fine with by any means when you're like I'm identifying a stud, and that's what Pitts is. He's an anchor. He's a stud. This year and beyond, all the above. Then go get him. I think Ayuk has a lot of value right now with the Debo news. If it turns out to be the 106, Ayuk, Higgins, and Freiermuth, yeah, I mean, find a way to see if you can get a pick in return. Like sell Ayuk hard. Like if you're including Ayuk in these trade talks, and again, I'm not opposed to trying to acquire Kyle Pitts. Far from it. Exact opposite, actually. Get Kyle Pitts if you can.
I am almost opposed to trying to get Kyle Pitts because you're gonna have to give up so much that it might end up being a detriment to your team. I'm a little bit worried about trading away 4 assets for one. When you can trade away 2 assets and get maybe not an equitable dynasty piece because nobody's quite equitable to Kyle Pitts, but you can get a relatively young tight end that will be solid for you for a few years, and I mean you have Freiermuth already, but think about how much you have to give up in addition to Freiermuth to get Pitts, and at that point, how much does your team suffer? When you could trade you could probably trade Freiermuth 106 and Ayuk and offer that to the Mark Andrews owner.
This doesn't. So here's the thing. Kilo posted his roster, and at running back, he literally wrote nobody. The wide receivers are excellent, but if this is super flex, and maybe it's not with you only having Fields and Lance.
Yes, Mills
but
too.
With Fields,
but yeah, I didn't
see
that. Nobody there at running back. You need to fix
this
that
might not
before
be
you
a
upgrade
team,
at tight end, man.
This might not be a team that's quite ready to compete yet, despite having Chase, Metcalf, and Waddle. The wide receivers in general are excellent.
Trade Ayuk for a running back. I would keep the 102, go Kenneth Walker, and at 106 I wouldn't try to trade for Pitts. I would try to trade back from the 106. Maybe pick up does a guy in your league have a couple of seconds? Could you end up with Kenneth Walker and Rachaad White and maybe like a Zamir White? If you trade back, just stack up on running backs from this draft class. I would definitely try to do that. If you're open to trading the 106, I would try to trade back from 106. You're good at tight end. Freiermuth, Komet, and Irv Smith are a great trio at tight end, and depending on what you get back, you could even pick up my guy Jelani Woods.
If nobody's interested in Ayuk, don't sell low on Ayuk. If you're going to
move that 106 first, the first thing I do.
What the first piece I would try? I mean, it feels weird, but with Chase, Metcalf, Waddle, and if nobody wants Ayuk, I would dangle Judy. See if you can get a boatload for him. Sell him high on the Russ acquisition. He's been, he hasn't had the best 2 years to start off.
I wouldn't do that because what's most valuable right now? Picks or players?
Right now, picks.
So trade your pick. Trade the 106. Don't trade any of your wide receivers yet. Trade the 106. Get some running backs.
Well,
see what you can get in the draft.
If he wants Pitts, I'm just saying, if he wants Pitts, that would be where I would pivot.
I would say scrap that idea altogether. Your tight ends are fine. Maybe I'm not giving you the answer you need there, but or the answer you want. But if you have nobody at running back, you're not competing. Trade back with the 106, the 102. Explore Kenneth Walker. See if you can get multiple seconds, multiple thirds back from the 106, and maybe a first in 2023, something like that. If in the second, if you pick up more picks in the second, Rachaad White, Zamir White, Tyler Algiers, Dameon Pierce. If you move back into the third, Tyrion Davis-Price. I would just be trying to get better at running back. You're not going to go very far with no running back. Pitts is nice, but he would be a luxury. He wouldn't help you win. You still have no running backs.
Well, you might not be able. If Kenneth Walker's your RB1, you're not going to win this year with anyway.
Yeah, but you got to start somewhere, dude.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
So then once the season draws closer and maybe Debo gets traded, and then you can trade trade Ayuk. Or if he doesn't, then you could dangle Judy. But the first thing I would do would be trying to trade the most valuable asset I have while it's a hot commodity, and that's the 106. And you have 2023 first.
If you're trying to compete now, then you have to. Then if you're committed to making moves to compete, then you have to move a 23 first.
Honestly, your wide receivers are ready to compete. Your tight ends are ready to compete. Your quarterbacks should be ready to compete within the next 2 seasons. They're all
if it's
young.
super flex, they're not. If it's one quarterback, you can get by with Fields and Mills, but if it's super flex, might not quite be ready. And then running back, obviously,
But I'd be open to be. I mean, people are very high in the 2024 draft. There is, yes, you want to have 2020 or 2023 draft. Yes, you want to have 2023 picks, but if you can move those 2023 picks into equitable value and go forward all in to win now, that's not a bad move. I'm on contender teams where I basically have no picks for the next 3 years because I said, all in, let's go. I want the shit. So don't be, again, I mean, right now is pick season. If you can get some really good players to maximize having Chase, Metcalf, Waddle on your squad, Freiermuth on your squad right now. And if you want one of those top 3 tight ends, man, considering you have Trey Lance, you might think about Kittle. Because you can probably get, if you want, you can trade that 106 Ayuk for probably Kittle. And get the stack at tight end. But I wouldn't go Pitts.
I don't hate the idea of trying to acquire a top 5 top 5 dynasty asset. Shoot for the moon.
Kittle. Get that stack, bro. Get that stack. You already have the stack with Komet. Get that stack. Kittle.
I mean, yeah, but.
And you're trying to acquire Najee. Yeah, that'll be a tough.
That'll be a
right
20.
Now.
That'll be a 23 first. That'll take a 23 first.
But if you're trying to compete, good running backs to get right now, Leonard Fournette, they just drafted Rachaad White. Leonard Fournette owners might be tilting a little bit. Leonard Fournette's still going to be heavily involved, especially in the pass game. What are some other RBs? I mean, hey, if you can get a James Conner plus, you should be able to, with the 106, you should be able to get a James Conner plus.
You might be able to get, I'm trying to think who else you might be able to get cheap.
CEH. I don't know if you want him, but you can probably get him cheap.
Elijah Mitchell.
Yep. They just drafted Tyrion Davis-Price, so you can...
Antonio Gibson. Target guys who people are down on right now because you can get them for less.
Yeah, Kilo, we completely... I'm sorry, man. I know.
We took it and decided to do our own thing with it. That wasn't the point. Yeah, but yeah.
Hey, I know that wasn't what you wanted to hear, man. But I think we both agree that you can't go into a year trying to compete with everything set except for running back. Running back's the one position you need to have set to compete. You can be set at wide receiver, but the variance week to week with wide receiver is a little bit more boom bust than it is with running backs in Superflex, and it's quarterbacks then running backs. In 1QB, it's running backs then wide receivers and quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's tight end, unless you have a Kelsey. Unless you have the one guy that's the difference maker every year, and it's kind of a crapshoot figuring out which one it is. Kelsey was the only guy that I can point to who was a top 1 tight end in the league for 5 years running. Unless you can pinpoint that difference maker. And that might be Pitts, but it might not, considering their quarterback situation. Love his long-term outlook.
Yeah, it'll get better.
Then it's honestly better to punt the tight end position. What do we say in redraft every year? If you can't get Kelsey,
stud
punt
or
the position. Right. So I love Pitts and Najee in Dynasty. You're going to have to give up a king's ransom to get them, and it might hurt your future. Yeah. But I do love Pitts. What's going on, CXK? How you doing, man?
What's going on?
I'm glad you liked that Sky Moore vid that Nick put out. If anybody hasn't checked that out, Nick did a good job on that. Check it out.
Thanks. I try every now and then.
Boom.
Superflex, once a week,
by the way.
Good for good work.
Then you're still a little bit of a ways from competing because you need some more stability at quarterback.
Yeah, your quarterback depth is razor thin because we can't sit here and definitively say that Trey Lance is going to start week 1 this year. Which is wild, but that's where we're at. Maybe San Francisco's just like buying as much time as they possibly can, but we're pretty much out of quarterback landing spots at this point.
I mean, you got Mills, you got Fields. Nobody's expecting them to be world beaters, though. That's the issue.
They're QB2s. Well, Fields has some QB1 upside, but...
Yeah. He has a high floor. I don't know if he has the high ceiling that everybody projected that he would.
Yeah.
Both Lance and Fields should have high floors because they are rushing guys. We just don't know how evolved they are as passers.
Lance has a huge ceiling. He's got to put the tools together.
And yeah, 6K. Glad you liked it.
So yeah, we can Kilo. Take some time, think about it. I don't know when your draft is, your rookie draft, but yeah, just know that your team's not quite there yet, and you'd have to give up a sizable chunk of assets to pick up Pitts, which if you can find a way to do it, without going hog wild, like, we don't want to sit here and try to dictate how to run your team, but we can suggest, like, don't sell the farm, especially when you're not quite there yet. You sell the farm when you're a piece away, or 2 pieces away, not when you're
like, if I'm a if I just won the league last year, have a juggernaut, and have Tom Brady and want to buy Josh Allen. Like, that's the point to do it, because your team is ready to go, and you can probably withstand losing a lot of those future assets if your whole goal is to win right now. So, yeah.
But you're giving up.
Rojo, thank you for the kind words, and thanks for enticing everybody to hit the like button. Yes, that would help us a lot.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And thanks for the comments about the Discord. Nick, it was Nick's idea to set that up. He set that up a bit ago, and it's been fun. It's been great. We love the Discord. So if any of y'all are not in the Discord yet, join it. The link is in the description down below. And
you don't need to be a member to get it. I mean, if you are a member, you get some additional access to us, but anybody can join the Discord. And yeah, like John said, it is in the description of this video, of this stream, and any of our videos on our channel.
And if you are interested in becoming a member, we do have to say that link is in the description too. So it's the first link that you see. And our members keep the lights on in here. So much appreciated to our members. They're the guys with the green badges and the yellow badges next to their names. When the analytics are low on our end, the members keep the lights on in here. So much appreciated to the members.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have stuff to get out for them as well eventually.
Yes.
No doubt.
So
be
all
on
right,
the lookout.
look at in Kilo. Is this like you have this set up? You can do this right now.
If you can get both of those dudes for that package,
then I would do it. I was thinking that you were going to have to do basically 106 Ayuk, Freiermuth, and one of those 2023 firsts for Pitts alone.
One of those guys.
If you can get both of those guys, then that's a win.
Yeah.
Then
if
you win.
Can do that, do it.
I'm sorry that we were misled by your original
if you can get
your
both,
original
I say yes.
Trade offer there, but yes.
If you can do that, and you're trying to even if you're, because you can play the long game with having both of those guys as well, but that catapults you closer to contention status while still having a top 5 dynasty asset in Pitts and a top, I'll say 8 or 9 in Najee.
And it opens up the window to win right now, but with a team like yours, your window is going to be open for a long time. Basically, none of your assets are old. Nope. And Pitts is going to be 21 this year. So, Najee is a little bit older. He's going to be 24. But if he has one more season, and then I would say, flip him.
Yeah.
Flip him for something else in 2023. Try to get those two 2023 firsts back, and then draft 2 running backs in 2023.
I can get
and
down
then
with
you
that.
could have traded the 106 Ayuk, Freiermuth, and Freiermuth basically for Pitts and Tank Bigsby and Jameer White. Not Jameer White, Jahmyr Gibbs, which I would be really happy with if that was the case. So something like that. And you have Kenneth Walker too, so great.
So
yeah,
boom.
Man. 3 total trades, but I like that net win.
I agree. If you can make it happen. CXK said Jelani's sitting at the 304. Or the 304 is up and Jelani's on the board. You could offer Roquan Smith.
You're in IDP.
Yeah, so I guess might need a little extra context for like is it like a full defense of players, or like is it 3 IDP guys? Like how deep does IDP run? Like how valuable is a player like Roquan Smith compared to a prospective tight end who's probably not going to be ready for 3 years, which does coincide with I think this just happened maybe an hour ago or so, but Mo Alley Cox, I believe, did he sign a contract extension?
Mo Alley Cox?
No, okay, that was earlier this year. Sorry.
Excuse me.
Regardless.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Regardless.
What?
No, he already got a contract extension earlier this year. It's for 3 years. But that same timeline runs parallel to when we expect Jelani Woods to potentially be able to start to contribute on a consistent basis. So, do you take Roquan Smith now, who's a solid linebacker? I don't know. We don't do IDP. That's something that we need to eventually add to our repertoire, but not something that we do now. I don't know what Roquan Smith's value is for fantasy purposes in IDP leagues, but take whatever that may be and translate it to a prospective tight end who you might not be able to plug into your starting lineup until 2026, but he's got one of the best athletic profiles of any player at the position since athletic profiles started being charted.
Since 1987.
So
The exact number.
There you go.
He's literally the unicorn of the tight end position based since 1987. He's number one. So definitely watch out for that.
So does that,
if you can
does
get
that sound like something you want to flip Roquan Smith for? I wish I had a
get
more
the
definitive
404
answer.
too. If you can see if you can always ask for more. That's what my motto. When you have when you need $5, don't ask for 2, ask for 10.
Yeah.
Give me more. So if you can get that 404 too, and take Daniel Bellinger, or take somebody in IDP who is equitable to, who you believe is equitable to a Roquan Smith, so you can fill that space in your roster and not lose so much IDP value there while gaining a potential tight end one. That would be a move that I would try to make. And Iron, hoping you can get Jelani Woods and Keontae Ingram with the 304 and 307. What do you think? I think that would be a great return.
Yeah, and you're not going to need to reach for either one of those guys. Do you have a 4th round pick? I think Iron's I think it's a 10-team dynasty league. Keontae, if it's four rounds in the draft, Ingram should be there in the 4th round of a 10-team.
Yeah.
And then
if you love him, it's in the third. Just take him.
If you love him, take him.
Think you can trade back, maybe see if you can do something like that.
Or, in the 3rd round of 10, like Algier might be at the 304, or Damian Pierce might be at the 304.
True.
Or hell, Zamir White might be at the 304, and then you might be able to take Iron. I would secure Woods at the 304, and then any one of those running backs might be available at the 307, and then Ingram might be available to you in the 4th, or a waiver pickup. But yes, you're on the right track either way.
And CXK, 2 IDP flex, 2 D lineman, 2 linebacker, 2 DB. Roquan was the 4th highest in points at the linebacker position with 134 points. Typically, defensive players could only fetch a 3rd or a 4th rookie draft pick at the highest.
So go get the 3. If the 304 at the highest, so 304 sounds pretty close to the highest to me.
Do you really want to give up the 4th best IDP player at linebacker? To me, that seems like an edge above your teams. And I love Jelani Woods.
Yeah.
But I would see if somebody would go for a lesser IDP player, or see if you can send a lesser package to get him than the 4th highest points getter at a position of importance. Because if you have the 4th highest points getter at the tight end position, you're not. That's what you're hoping Jelani Woods is. Roquan Smith is that at somebody that you're sticking into your roster every week. I love Jelani Woods. I would still try to see if I could get him, but I'm not trading away the 4th highest point getting linebacker in an IDP league like that.
Well, I guess my only question to that point would just be if Roquan is a top 5 player at his position for fantasy purposes, and he still can only at best net you a 3rd round pick, what are the other options to replace Roquan? Like, what's the difference between the 4th best player at the position and the 12th best player at the position? It's some, like, are they close in regard to why they don't net too much in return in the form of a pick? Like, if they never net a second round pick, then there's a reason for that.
I mean, if we're expecting it to take 3 years for Jelani Woods to fire,
right,
and you have Roquan Smith right now, I would keep Roquan Smith and then try to trade Roquan Smith plus for Jelani Woods mid-season when he's not doing anything. After his first season when he's really not doing anything of note because Mo Alley Cox is still there. I mean, at that point, I love Jelani Woods. You know this. If I have a way to get Jelani Woods on my squad, I'm gonna do it. But there are other ways than drafting him to get him on your squad.
Yeah.
Every year, unless you have a select few tight ends are getting dropped. Tight ends can be had for a 3rd round pick. A future third, I mean. Like, you could trade the 2023 4th to get a lot of 2024 3rd to get a lot of tight ends in the league right now that haven't fired yet. I have a bunch on my dynasty squads. And we don't expect Jelani to do anything for 3 years.
Nope. 2026, man.
So
or
I would
maybe
hold
2025.
Roquan, and I would let him put up the 4th most points from at the linebacker position in my fantasy league again, or hope that he gets there. And if you're contending halfway through the season before the trade deadline, keep him and then try to trade him after next year. If you're not contending and you're not going to be in the playoffs, then try to sell Roquan Smith to the Jelani Woods owner for Jelani Woods plus.
Like and that 3rd.
Yeah.
That he normally doesn't net. Yeah.
Or a 4th or something like that.
That's
if you
true.
say 3rd and 4th. So that's how I would approach getting Jelani Woods on my team. I love Jelani Woods. There are more routes than one to getting Jelani Woods on your team. You might just have to be patient.
You gotta hope he doesn't pop right away, which I don't think he will.
I really liked Hunter Long coming out. All it took was him not producing over the course of the first year and a half, and people were dropping him. I traded 2 4ths for him in the league. I still have, if I'm looking at the Jelani Woods window, I still have another year of Hunter Long before it gets to that 3-year mark where I'm trying to cut bait if he doesn't get a real shot. And that's probably just what you can be patient on Jelani Woods. I love Jelani Woods.
You can be. Yep.
But, yeah.
This is an interesting one, and then we'll be close to shutting down the stream for the day. But
yeah.
CSK was offered
firsts.
Gibson and 2023 firsts. So not like a 2022 first and a 2023 first. 2 next year. Plus Gibson for Najee. Gibson is obviously one, pound for pound, doesn't touch Najee, but Gibson is younger than Najee for what that's worth. Not
much younger.
Fine, but younger is younger.
4 months younger.
Okay, well, younger is younger. 2 years in the NFL compared to 1.
We don't love his situation, but he's technically the more athletic of the 2.
We hate the situation, but yeah.
And yes, for what it's worth, he is about 4 months younger. But that situation might look a whole lot better in 2 years. I mean, Antonio Gibson, this might be helping Antonio Gibson's dynasty prospects in the long run. What happened with Joe Mixon early in his career? I'm looking at Player Profiler right now, and Antonio Gibson's best comparable on Player Profiler, for what it's worth, grain of salt, is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon ran with Gio Bernard for the majority of his the young part of his career, and it took him a few years. Yes, there was some injuries worked in, but in age 25, in age 26, he's the RB1 on the year, RB2 on the year. Najee Harris seems like he's going to be one of those running backs that burns real bright and then burns out with the workload that he's getting.
Yeah.
I think I would rather have Antonio Gibson in 2 firsts.
I think I would
rather
do that
have
too.
Antonio
Well,
Gibson in 2 firsts.
What are the odds that one of those 2 firsts is, say, in the top 5? If the answer is high, then do it. If it's like, well, they might be 2 late firsts, then that gives me a little extra pause. But
Doesn't
if
for
we
me in 2023. Remember that
Yeah.
draft that projected to already go 13 deep at
Yeah,
prospects.
I know. I don't
we
want to
really like.
I don't want to totally sell Najee short, especially when he stays on the field for pass catching downs, and for whatever reason Gibson doesn't. That said, if at least one of those firsts is like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good that one of those will be in the top half of the round, I'm saying yes to that deal. I'm shipping Najee for
I don't care if they're too late
haul.
firsts, because you never know what's going to happen. A team that is really good could lose ETN and J.K. Dobbins and pick up the 102 next year. That happened in one of our leagues. The team that in a Superflex league, who I would say has the best top to bottom team, lost ETN and Dobbins, and lost Harris for some parts of last year, and they drafted the 102, the 202, the 302 this year.
Yeah.
It can happen. Fantasy football and football in general is one of the most unpredictable sports in the NFL, or in the world when it comes to that sort of thing, just because it is such a brutal sport. You cannot look at a team and definitively say their pick is going to be 11 or 12.
I mean, there are some teams tank and some teams tank outright. That's why, is it a situation where it's like, oh, I have literally nobody at running back? Like, I have nobody at wide receiver? You can like definitively look at the roster and be like, yeah, breaks go a certain way for different people each year, but this roster just flat out stinks.
My point being,
that's why I'm asking the question. You never know.
I don't care what.
Okay, fair.
Caliber
I'm
of
in agreement.
2023
Take the trade. Take the package.
I don't really care about the 2023, the caliber of pick that you expect it to be, because best laid plans. If you expected everything to go right and it did go right, you'd win every year. I mean, that's not the way it works. So AG and 2 2023 firsts for my Najee share, man, I would do that in a second. And I wouldn't feel bad about it.
I think I would take I think I would take it too, CXK. I know you have some pause, and ultimately it's your team. You do what you want, but I think we're both in agreement here. We would take that deal.
And if you're really worried, you could probably turn around and trade those 2 2023 firsts for a guy like DeAndre Swift. And then you have AG and DeAndre Swift for Najee. And hey, I would feel pretty good about that.
I would feel fine about that too.
So what do you think about Walker at the 102? Is that a must? Burks and Jameson sound good too.
Iron, for you, since you have the 2 and the 4, for me, I'm taking Walker at 2 to secure the running back. And then I prefer Jameson, but you could go either way. But since you have 2 top 5 picks, get the running back first. I would take Jameson for the long game. Burks helps you more this year, but has maybe more questions long term.
Yep. And this is an interesting one. Thank you, Alex, for the super
Alex,
chat. Much appreciated.
Appreciate that, man. You didn't have to do that, but thank you.
10-team PPR rebuilding. Connor and McLaurin, or the 110, the 2-3, and the 2023 second.
The picks. I mean, if you're rebuilding, the pick side. Connor's older and Terry's older. Terry's, I think, already. Is Terry 27?
But if you have McLaurin and Connor, I would see if I could eke a little bit more out of the pick side of the trade if you're dealing them.
Yes.
But if somebody is offering you Connor
Especially
and McLaurin for those picks, I would say no, considering you're rebuilding. McLaurin's going to be 27 this year, and yes, it's his age apex season, but he's playing with Carson Wentz, and we still don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be like next year. And Connor is a 27-year-old running back with injury concerns every single year, who's projected to get a great workload, but he'll
be 27 in 2 days. Happy early birthday, James Conner.
There you go.
But yeah, he'll be 27.
He's going to get injured at some point this year. It has happened to James Conner literally every season, and he's not getting any younger. We love the touchdown upside. We love the workload, especially early in the season. But that's
he might be an RB1 this year.
You'd be getting the pick side. Ask for another second, bro. Ask for another second.
I would say
ask for a 24 second. You're getting the pick side.
I would say ask for the 110. If you're giving up both of those dudes, including Connor, who can safely be projected as an RB1 this year, I need the 110, I need the 203, and turn that second into a first, and now we're talking.
I don't disagree with that.
Turn that 2023 second into a 2023 first, and now we're talking. And if they push back, like I'm already giving you a first-round pick, dude, or lady, I'm giving you an RB1, and Terry has disappointed last year, but he's got wide receiver 2 upside.
Point to what Pittman was last year.
Yeah,
and say,
sure.
Look, that's what
Carson Wentz
can
do.
make McLaurin, because McLaurin is just as good at, or if not better, at this stage in the game in his career than Pittman, who was only 24 last year. McLaurin again is in his apex season.
McLaurin was bad last year and has been, up and down because of atrocious quarterback play, like some of the worst collective quarterback play over the past couple of years. DJ Moore says hi. That being said, Carson Wentz, I feel like I'm throwing up as I'm saying this, is a clear upgrade over Taylor Heineke. Terry's in better shape. I won't say good shape. He's in better shape than he was last year. And again, Connor, you can sell as a clear RB1. Ask for those 2 firsts.
Yep.
Ask for those 2 firsts.
I think that about does it, you guys. We're coming up on 2 hours here. And
they don't have a 2023 first. I just want to wrap this thought up because Alex was kind enough.
2024 first. That might get it done.
They don't trust Connor long term. I don't either. Okay.
You already said that. I'm sorry. I'm reading.
Yeah,
it now.
tried the 2024 first. They don't trust Connor long term. Then you don't get Connor. Play hardball. Season hasn't started yet.
How many seconds do they have? That would be my next question.
Yeah, I mean, right. See what's the rest of their pick haul, but it's gonna have to be a few seconds. Two in 2023 and 1 in 2024, plus the 1 this year.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, the 110, the 203, 2 2023 seconds, and a 2024 second. If they say you need to throw something back return, you say no. Take it or leave it. And if they say no to that, play hardball. Keep Connor. Connor's going to be an RB1 again this year, and I promise after week 1, when he has 60 yards and a touchdown, his value will go up even more.
The most valuable thing right now is picks. The most valuable thing come week 1 is players, and you want to be able to leverage those efficiently and effectively when the time comes. So if right now the guy is protecting his picks because he's going to be on the clock soon, which is why you're kind of having to fight him for these picks. As soon as week 1, Connor's scoring 3 touchdowns because he basically has that workload and is playing in that type of offense right now. Yeah. As long as he's healthy, 2 to 3 touchdowns is the upside you're looking at for him. He did reach that last season because he's dual threat at this point.
And increased potential work in the passing game with no Hopkins.
Who's still got, I know everybody loves to get off or jump off the wide receiver wagon once they hit the age 27 season, but McLaurin?
Still going to be good for 3 years.
Yeah.
Still going to be good for 3 years. Yeah.
And honestly, Iron, I think that Walker could start ahead of Penny, should start ahead of Penny.
I think Penny starts, but Walker's fine long term.
I think they should treat Penny like their pass catching back.
They probably should, and maybe eventually they will.
Yeah. But I think that about does it, you guys. Thank you for all your questions. Alex, thank you for the super, much appreciated. You didn't have to do that. You're a member already.
But appreciate it.
Thanks to all y'all members. Thanks, Kilo, for coming in and chilling with us. It's been a minute. Glad you could make it.
Yeah.
CXK, you already know. New Era TB, you already know. Nay, P. Diddy, Papa Diddy, Puff, Iron, Troy Trolls, thank you for coming through. Rojo Fish, Johnny Jones, The Objective, Kurt Bowers, just doing a roll call. Thank you very much. We will be back here tomorrow with the members-only stream. What do you think? We're going to do another mock or two before our draft, and then maybe we can stream our draft?
probably gonna do. Are we streaming our draft?
I was gonna stream our draft. If you're not gonna stream our draft,
Okay, I was potentially gonna be out the door for our draft, but
oh well, yo, then I can just stream it, bro. You can leave.
We'll
I'll stream it.
Okay, we'll see.
You can cheat and know what my thought processes are as I'm drafting.
I'm gonna watch it real time, and you won't be here to steal my thoughts.
30-second lag time. I'm cool with it.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the phone with you trying to pick up your picks on stream for the match.
And I will say no. You can put me on speakerphone.
But yeah, so that'll be fun.
Loudly.
We're doing that tomorrow, and then we're back on Thursday for a regular general public stream. But on Thursday, the stream will be cut short again. And honestly, I'm probably going to go live again for the members because we got another draft on Thursday.
Yep.
So you members stick around on Thursday. The stream's going to be smaller for the general public, but I'm going to be streaming a draft them in with Nick again on Thursday. So you'll get to peek behind the curtain and see what I'm going to do in an actual draft that I'm in where I'm trying to be very competitive. So there you go. But good luck to all y'all if you're drafting tonight. If you're drafting within the next few days and we don't see you, good luck. Thank you for
join the
Discord.
If you're not in the Discord already and you're drafting soon, go ahead and join the Discord. Again, the link is in the description right at the top. You can hop on in if you have questions about your draft or if you just want to continue the conversation, regardless of what it is.
Yep.
Come on in.
Absolutely.
Come hang out. But yeah, we'll see the members tomorrow. And we'll see everybody on Thursday.
Peace, y'all.
Thanks, everybody.